More studies are out showing microplastics are invading our bodies. Easy access to plastic items that we use in our everyday life are starting to impact our health, showing up in people's lungs, blood systems, in fetal placenta tissues, and even breast milk. Joining me now with just how much we're exposed to is longevity dietitian and gut health expert Ella Davar. Ella, it's so great to see you.
Gail, thank you so much for inviting me to cover this important topic.
Yeah, and it truly is the invasion of plastics. It's everywhere, and now it's showing up in our bodies.
And we've always thought that was a good thing to have on Earth. It's super convenient and it's everywhere, but the researchers from Columbia Universities recently for the first time measured the amount of microplastics in our food and specifically in bottled water, and it is 100 times more than was previously estimated. So they found almost 250,000 of microplastic particles inside 1 liter of plastic water. And that's what's worse, that they've measured nanoplastics, which is much smaller than microplastics, and you can't see them with a human eye, and they're around 1/7 of the width of a human hair. But what they do is they have the potential to cross the barrier inside our intestines and they get absorbed into the bloodstream, and that's how they ended up in our organs, and how they can cross the placenta and end up in the unborn babies, and it can also damage some of our organs and even our nervous system.
All right, so that's good. You kind of explained the difference between the microplastics and the nanoplastics, which apparently are so small we can't even see them, and they're going through and going into different organs and tissue. So what can we do to cut down on this and protect ourselves?
As a longevity dietitian, my #1 recommendation when it comes to bottled water, definitely choose water in glass bottles or paper or stainless steel. Use more often reusable water bottles, and for food storage, use glass containers. And this is something that some other chemicals called phthalates was recently measured and published by Consumer Reports, and they measured these chemicals in food, which is packaged food. Everything is wrapped in plastic these days, anything that's shelf stable, and they found that almost every food that is in the supermarket and that is food and shelf stable contains these chemicals. And those chemicals that are called phthalates, they are also act as endocrine system disruptors because they have the potential to mimic some of the hormones, specifically estrogen, and they also create a burden on liver and contribute to liver toxicity. And this is something that I've been recommending for years because I studied this as a functional nutrition practitioner. We've always recommended people for ultimate detox, yes, use glass containers, avoid storing food in plastic, avoid microwaving food in plastic, and avoid food that is made in plastic. And also the easiest way to do that is to purchase organic food, purchase from the farmer's market, and don't use toxic ingredients and chemicals that you put on your skin, such as scented lotions, makeups, and even clothing. Some of the clothing that's made of synthetic ingredients, polyester. So I've been saying this for years to my clients as a part of an ultimate detox, because our skin is one of the largest organs and how we absorb some of the chemicals.
All right, so I just want to go back about the products that we find in our grocery store, like bread, that can sit on a shelf for a long time. That's what we need to be careful about?
Yes, unfortunately, these chemicals, they accumulate in high levels of it and high exposure, which happens to us on a daily basis because every single household item nowadays is conveniently packaged in plastic, and high exposure to it could definitely contribute to accumulation of these chemicals. And if our body, if we're not supporting the optimal levels of detoxification, can accumulate it and end up, it's also associated with cardiovascular disease, with obesity, and even diabetes.
And again, these glass containers, very cheap on Amazon, worth the investment, because if you're storing even in your refrigerator in plastic like this, it starts to leach. And you're saying
it has the potential to leach out into your food, yes.
Okay. And
specifically when you microwave it and heat it up.
Okay, and then something like this could be leaching as well.
The longer it stays, yes. Yeah.
Okay, really interesting. Any other things that we can do to detox our bodies?
No, generally just use glass containers as often as possible. I'm someone who makes my own lunch every day, and I know this is a little bit heavier, but I make an effort, you know, to make sure, and then you have to carry it back home. You can't just easily get rid of it. But yeah, make sure that your children and you use as little plastic as possible. Reduce the exposure, just being mindful of it. I know it could be overwhelming to a lot of people to hear this because it's so prevalent these days, but yeah, making sure that you're using reusable stainless steel glass containers or glass water bottles.
Very, very good to talk about. I mean, I think, you know, there was this big push in the beginning to save our environment, but now we're talking about avoiding plastics for your human health, and maybe that motivates people a little bit better than the environmental message. Ella, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gail.
All right, we're going to post this story on bloomtampabay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.